Starting recording. So welcome everybody to our workshop today. Um, to our we'll talk today about an increasingly important topic, artificial intelligence combined with time management. My name is Tamara, and I'm here to facilitate a working session on how we can learn to use AI in our work life. So let's get started. Let's look at our agenda. Next slide. Perfect. So today by the end of the session, you'll better understand what is AI, how it can be used, and some practical ways to use it to better manage your time. Feel free to ask any questions during the presentation. You can do it by raising your hand or writing them out in the chat. With that being said, let's get started. Okay, so let's start with defining what is artificial intelligence. We're going to go over this very quickly because we've already seen it in past workshops. Just a brief reminder. So AI, or artificial intelligence, is a simulation of human intelligence by machines. It doesn't mean that AI is intelligent in and of itself. It means it's kind of a mix, shall we say, of everything that's already been done or written. And it usually performs tasks that require human intelligence, like coding or writing. And it is such a helpful, useful tool for us humans because it puts us at a place where we can access everything that's already been done and we can focus on having more time for ourselves. And let's go to the next slide. Okay, and now that we know a little bit about AI, let's talk about time management and why it's so important. So time management is so important because in this day and age, we're often bombarded with a lot of information and we need to learn how to figure out what is important and how to do those things in the time that we want. So time management is essential. And AI can help automate tasks, prioritize, and stay focused. So let's find out how we can do this. Oh, so before we go on to that, I'm going to ask a quick poll here to our participants and ask them how often do you feel like you could use some help with your time management? So I'm going to pop the poll up here. Give me a second. So the poll has been launched. Please let me know. How often do you feel you need help with your time management? Okay, so here we only have one participant in here today, but they say that they often feel like they need help with their time management. So worry not if this is you. We're here to give you some tools today. Okay, thank you so much for your time. So today we're going to talk about a tool called ChatGPT. I would like some audience participation. Does anyone know what is ChatGPT? Do you have any idea? Feel free to open your mic or share in the chat. So anyone want to tell me what is ChatGPT? In the chat here, I have someone here saying that if it's a kind of a robot. And you're not wrong. It is a computer-based intelligence, but it's not a robot in that a robot would have to be a whole thing that moves. So let's look at what is the definition. ChatGPT is basically a program made by OpenAI, and this is a natural language processing tool. Natural language means that it works with language. So this means that you, just like a natural conversation, you ask something of it and it'll give you an answer in return. So it means it's capable of answering questions and assisting with tasks. It can do lots and lots and lots of things, but some of the things that it can do is it can compose emails, essays, and code. Thank you so much. And sorry. And something important, let's talk about how ChatGPT can help with time management. We're going to show them to you right now practically, but in general, it can help you break down tasks into smaller steps. It can help you prioritize your work schedule, track your progress, and summarize large amounts of information. Let's see how we can do this. So I'm going to share my screen right now. And I'm going to pull up ChatGPT here. Mhm. Okay. So I have here already some prompts and some examples ready in this document. So you're going to see me pull these up. But these are prompts that you can use yourself, which you just have to pause this video to look at. So I want to start with one of my favorite examples. I'm going to copy paste it, but I'll walk you through it. So I'm asking ChatGPT to help me schedule my day, and to try to make it as most efficient as possible. I'm going to ask it to do a combination of time block and the Pomodoro method. Time blocking is where you give yourself some time to work on certain tasks. Pomodoro method is you'll work for 25 minutes, rest for 5. I'm telling it when I have everything that I have to do in my day. This took me about a minute to do. It was just writing. I'm telling it everything that I need to do. What meetings I have, what is my number one priority, all of the tasks that I need to do. So I'm going to let it tell me how I should organize my day. So it's starting to give me a whole list of things. No? So something important is I'm going to help it fine tune. I'm going to say, wait, my schedule is from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. with no lunch break. Please adjust the schedule. Okay, huh. It's giving me some things that aren't true. For example, this one, it says my open co-working session is at 7 to 8. That's not true. It's just giving it as an example. Okay, that's okay. So it's giving me a schedule that it would suggest. But it doesn't know my priorities. It doesn't know what goes first and what doesn't. So I'm going to ask it to help me prioritize my tasks. It's going to probably do what exactly. It's going to set them by high importance and high urgency. Of course, I'm going to review it personally. I've read it and I agree. I do think everything is correctly prioritized. Now I'm going to ask it to set taking these priorities in order, in consideration, to put them into my schedule. So let's write it out. Now that you know my priorities, please fit these into my schedule for the day. And something important is I'm going to tell it that in the afternoon is when I feel the most tired, so that it'll give me my high priority tasks in the morning. So take into consideration, I am at, okay, and that should give it so that things that are urgent and important will happen in the morning, and things that are not so important will happen in the afternoon. So it's telling me everything that I need to work on. So 7 to 7:25, work on slides. 7:30 to 7:55, work on slides. And it's even giving me that I should take a short break, which is very useful. And it'll give me a breakdown of what it suggests as my schedule. I can, of course, change it, but at least for me personally, one of the hardest things is knowing what to do when, and just having this written down is quite helpful. So this is kind of my schedule. Let's say what other things we could do. Um, okay, so this is a very useful one. So I know that at 9:30 I have a meeting, but I'm not quite sure. how to make it as efficient as possible. I want to keep it to half an hour if possible. Um, so I'm going to say, okay, as much detail as I can from my meeting. So I have a 9:30 meeting today. I want to present to my coworkers the slides and have them give me feedback so we can edit the slides in real time. So they will be ready for the workshop tomorrow. How can I make this meeting more productive and efficient? So I'm going to ask for it some tips. Let's see what it says. Okay, so it gives me a couple of things. It tells me that I should prepare my slides in advance for sure. Set some clear objectives, so I'll let my colleagues know what is the goal. It even gives me a meeting agenda. Maybe this is too much for this particular meeting, but I like it. So it gives me a very detailed skeleton. I may not want to do this for every meeting, but in general, I think it's very useful. And here, this is basically the basics of time management of how I can envision it being used with ChatGPT. Really, it takes you 5 minutes total, and it's very useful if you want a little bit more structure in your life. Now I want to open up the forum for a bit for some of my participants. I want you to tell me if there's like a challenge or something that maybe isn't related to time management, but is related to ChatGPT that you'd maybe want to give an example of right now or walk through. If not, we can continue. I'll share my screen again. So audience, anything that you'd maybe like to know from ChatGPT or a scenario that you'd like to run through? If not, would you be so kind as to share the slides again, please? Thank you so much. Okay. Okay, very important. So there's actually two prompts that we didn't go through about the breaking down into smaller steps. Let me share my screen again. Thank you for putting this slide again. Let's go over that one. So something else that happens to me often, and I'm sure it happens to you, is when I have a big project, I will sometimes procrastinate my what I have to do because I don't know how to break it down into smaller steps. I just know I need to finish it, but I don't know how to get there. So a prompt that I've found very useful is to ask ChatGPT to break down a project into smaller subtasks. And to make it even more useful, I'll usually give it a deadline by when I need to do this and have it suggest to me how much time I should dedicate to each of the subtasks before that date. So let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to copy paste my prompt. So I keep saying I'm going to describe the task as much as I can. No? So I have one long video that I want to break down into shorter videos. And I'm asking it to help me break down this task into smaller tasks and give me an estimate of how long they should take and a suggested schedule before my due date. I'm going to remind it that I don't work at the weekends. And it's giving me a bit of a suggestion of how I should break down my tasks. So I should telling me I should spend a day doing video preparation, then the next to make the script for the shorter videos, etc., etc. I'm going to tweak it a little bit. I'm going to say, um, I want, I probably won't edit as much. Make the time I give to editing just 1 day. And it's going to change my schedule a bit to whatever I want it to be. Oh, and I noticed also it's saying I have until Wednesday, September 20. I do not. My deadline is definitely the 18th. So I wanted to change that. and I'll ask it to update. And there you go. It's telling me a suggested schedule for this. And what is even, I'm kind of, this did it by accident, but what is even great is that I can even just copy paste these as my subtasks on ClickUp, and that'll be directly all of my tasks of what I need to do each day to get the project done. We'll talk a little bit more about ClickUp in our following workshops about project management and ChatGPT. So that is it for our actual for the practical component. Can you? Oh, thank you so much. So to sum up, those are the most useful tools I can give you regarding time management, breaking down tasks into smaller steps, finding a priority order for your tasks, tracking your progress. Either same by breaking down those smaller tasks, you can easily track if you're on track with your project or not. And you can use a prompt on ChatGPT where you can ask it to please read a article or long piece of information and have it summarized for you. Let's go to the next slide. Exactly. So here I want to talk about something very important. I want to leave you with a word of warning, shall we say. It is very important that when you're working with AI, you realize that AI isn't always going to be correct. Okay, so let's take these three things into consideration. So make sure that you're not sharing any personal information about yourself, that you are being transparent and accountable means that you're not passing anything from ChatGPT as your own, so you're not plagiarizing. And last, always make sure you review any information ChatGPT gives you to make sure that you're making the final decision, not the machine. Okay? Any other questions you might have about AI, feel free to reach out to us at info@futurefounder.org, or you can ask now. Are there any last questions, anything in the chat? Anyone want to open their mic? Okay, let me read. We have something here in the chat. The more information I give, the better it will be for ChatGPT to understand my priorities, or do I have to tell it what my priorities are? Okay, that's actually a great question. In general, I would say both. I feel like if you already know that there's a task that you have to complete and that's your 100% priority from the beginning, state that. That's what I said, and it put it at the top of my list, and it made it clear that it was the most important thing. In general, I just try to list all of my tasks, and it'll naturally, because of the kind of task, assign it a priority. For example, writing a copy about a new post for one of my clients, maybe much higher priority than posting like some standalone context. And it'll usually balance that priority by itself. Or you can be specific about it. I hope that answers your question. So if there's no more questions, let's go to, thank you, Emiliano, for your question. Let's go to that last slide. Thank you. So there's two more AI workshops coming up. The next one is called AI 301, Brainstorming with AI, where we'll talk about some prompts where you can work with brainstorming with AI. And as promised, at some point in the workshop that we just gave, we'll have a smart project management coming up in October. And maybe most exciting, starting September 19th, we have a whole cohort called CEO Bootcamp, which will be short, completely sponsored 8-week course where you'll come twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, to work on your soft skills such as giving feedback, new skills for the workplace, and networking with other like-minded women. So if this sounds interesting to you, scan the QR code and join us September 19th. If that'll be all, thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye, everybody. Mm.